website. This is the landing page that you see. You click on download. It will take you to this page where you download your template. So I'm gonna select version 3 because it is got the .NET Core. Then here you select whatever you want to select, then you give your project a name. So I'm gonna call this project my first ABP project. The email is optional, and I'm gonna enter the captcha. So you click on create my project, so it will download the template for you. As you can see, it will give you something like this. Then you click there. You have your ASP.NET Core and React.js. In this case, we are dealing with API, so we have to click on ASP.NET Core and you open your solution. So this is my solution in Visual Studio. You can see it has got application core and framework migrator, web.co, then web.host. So the first thing that you do is to click on web host, then you right click, then you set as startup project. That's it. Then I'm not gonna explain in detail about these projects. So what we're gonna do first is to click here and we're going to add our connection string. My server stays. Then you can change the database name if you want. So in this case, I'm just gonna change it to ABP project DB. Then it's fine. Click on save. After saving, we go here on inside my first ABP project.core. You open that project, then you right click, you click on add a new folder called domain. So after we are done with our connection string, let's right click on core, then click on add new folder. We're going to add a folder called domain. This is where we're going to add our domain entities. So before we add those entities, let's add two more folders. The other one, the first one is called attributes, and the second one is called enums, where we'll be putting our ref lists. So what we're gonna do is before we add any class, we're going to add before we add any domain entities, rather, we're going to add our attributes. So click on add new class. Let's name it discriminator value. Discriminator value. Let's add that one. So gonna make it public. Then it's going to inherit from attribute. It has got a property of type object, which is called value. Then we're going to have a constructor which takes the object. So let's add another one. In fact, for now we are done. We can add an inner. So we're going to add an enum called ref list title. Public enum can inherit from long or int. You can even leave it without inheriting from any type. So we're going to add Mr. equals to 1, Mrs. equals to 2, Miss equals to 3, other equals to 4. So we can also add an attribute called description. Then we have Mr. So I'm just gonna copy this and paste. We're going to have Mrs., Miss, and other. So let's add our first class. Our first domain entity is called person. So it's a public class and it's going to inherit from full audited entity. Then here we specify the primary key. So you can inherit from entity if you want, something like this, depending on what you want to achieve. You can see here this is the abstract class of entity, but in our case we are inheriting from full audited entities. You can also inherit from audited entity, which is still fine. Yeah, we can leave it like that, there's no problem. After this we're going to have our discriminator value. Which checks. So normally we pass the way we name our discriminators. Yes, we give it, let's say, the name of the project, in this case first ABP project, like this. Then we say dot person, something like this. So we're going to have few properties here. First one is the ref list title. I'm gonna make it nullable. Then we're going to have title. Then here we're gonna have first name, last name. I'm going to have, I think, email address. So we're going to have these 4 properties from person. But in ABP comes with a user, but not every person can be a user. So we can't inherit from a user. Rather, the best way to deal with that is to reference user inside person. So we're going to have user, then we're going to have user here. Okay, so once we are done like this, we are fine. So let's say we want to implement inheritance. ASP.NET Core uses table hierarchy for inheritance. So let's say we have an employee that is inheriting from a person. We're going to add that class, and we're going to have a class called employee. So it inherits from person. Let's say inside here we just have one property of type string, then it's employee number, the property name. So by doing this, we then have our discriminator attribute. Then we do this. So what does this? What this does is on the database, it's going to create a table called persons. Then it will have a column called discriminator. Then for this employee number, it will be under the employee discriminator. So let's say you are also having maybe another class that is inheriting from a person, then you have those discriminators. So let's add another class called department. It's going to be inheriting from audited entity. So this one is only one property called department name. So what's the relationship between department and employee? An employee works in a department, but a department can have many employees. So here we can have something like this. If you want, we can have an I list of employee, something like this. Then inside the employee, we can reference our department. So this becomes a foreign key inside the employee or person table. So with regards to domain classes, that's how you basically add your domain classes. So the next thing that you should do is to go inside entity framework core project, then this folder, go inside DB context. So inside DB context, this is where we're going to add our classes that are going to be mapped to the database. So we have person, name it persons. So we're going to also have employee, employees, then the last one, department, departments. So after doing this, let's try to do the migrations. You click on tools, you get package manager, you get package manager console. Now add a migration. I'm gonna name it initial migration. So you select the project, which is entity framework core, then you hit enter. So once we are done with the migrations, we run this script update database. So if I'm to open my SQL Server Management Studio, I will see a database with this name, ABP. So this is the SQL, this is the database. So it has created our tables. We have departments and percents. So as you can see, if we do this, then you can even check the columns. We have a column called discriminator, which takes the discriminator one. So basically that's it when it comes to adding domain entities. So now let's talk about application services. So the first thing that we're going to do is to create a folder inside the application project. I'm gonna name it service or services. Let's name it services. So inside services, we're going to add another folder called person. Inside person services, still fine. Then inside person services, we're going to add another folder called DTOs. So inside DTOs, let's add a class. We're going to name this class person DTO. Make that public. Then inside here, let's go back to our core domain in person. We're just gonna take these four and we gonna paste them. So let's add another property and string. I'm gonna name it title text. Oops. So what we're gonna do is inside services we're going to add another folder called helpers. So in here we're going to add a class called get inner description. So this class we're going to make it a static class. Then we're going to have a static method inside. Oops. Which returns a string get inner description. Then we're going to make it an extension method of not, then it takes the value. So I already have the code. I'm just gonna copy and paste. As you can see, this code uses a reflection to get the field, then it gets the array of description attributes, then it returns the value as a string. So we can name this let's change the name of our class. Let's just say helper here. Then you can also add help. Then we are fine. So inside %DTO, we're going to have something like audited entity DTO. Then it also takes a UID. Then on top of this class, we're going to add an attribute called automap. Then we pass the class that we're trying to map to and from. So automap, it maps to and from person and to person DTO, and from person DTO to person class. So that's fine. Next thing that we're gonna have is we have another folder. Yes, let's add another folder called mapping. Then inside mapping, we're gonna add a class called person mapping profile. So this class inherits profile, which comes from automap. Then here we have our constructor. What is it that we want to map? So we use create map. So what is our source? Our source from person to person DTO. Then we're gonna have for member. We can use p dot title text map from. So we're going to map something like this. I'm going to say e dot title is not equal to now. If title is not equal to now, then get the description, get inner description. So let's see, we have our code all written now. So let's also map from person DTO to person for member. We're going to have this. So we ignore the ID. Then we're also going to ignore the okay, I think that's all. For now, then what we're gonna do is we're going to add another class, which is the app service. So we're gonna call this person app service. So in AVP, when you create services, it should follow this conversion. The naming convention of app services should have person app service. Then we add that, and let's make our class public. Then I always prefer inheriting from the base of the project, which is the project name, then app service base. Oops. So if I do this, you can see that also inheriting from application service. This one comes with get current user, the user that is currently logged in. It gets the tenant and check errors. Then this one comes with these interfaces. So yeah, there are many ways to actually implement your services, how you can do it. So let's add a construct, and we're going to have a private read only. We're going to inject percent repository, then HYD, then here we're going to have underscore percent repository. So we're gonna copy this and paste it here. Then we do that. Then we are done. So let's create our create person endpoint. So this is how we're gonna do it. We're gonna say public async is going to return the task of type person DTO. I'm gonna say create person async so it takes person DTO as input, this method, and then the first thing that we're gonna do is to say file person equals to object mapper. So we're trying to map the input to person. So once we are done, we're gonna say person equals to await person repo insert async. So we can also, I think that's it. So after inserting, we can have something like current unit of work dot save changes async. Then we await here. Then after that, we want to return something. So we're going to return so here we're going to have our HTTP attribute. There's a post. So basically we are done with this person service. So if you want to create an interface, you can add here a class, then you say I person app service, then we're gonna make it public, make it an interface, then here it inherits from my application service. Then I'm gonna take this signature and put it there. Now inside here we're going to inherit from a person app service, something like that. Then let's add so there are many basically many ways to create APIs. So this is one of the methods, and the last one that I'm gonna show you is I'm gonna add another folder here, say department services. So for department services, I'm going to add DTOs folder, then we add a class. I'm gonna make it public, then it inherits from audited edit DTO. After that, we're going to have our attribute. The type of the department. So here I can right click and pick definition and say that I need this only, or I can also have the other one. But instead of having this, I can have employee DTO, which I don't have now. So inside person services, I'm just gonna add another DTO and call it employee DTO. So please note that you can add a separate folder for employee services. So I'm just putting this thing, the employee DTO, here because I don't wanna create the employee service. So this one inherits from person DTO, and here we're going to have automap attribute type of employee. Then after that, now right click, pick definition, and we're gonna take this. So we can have UID, department ID here. So it's fine, just gonna keep it simple and straightforward. So after this, we're going to go back inside our department. So then we get our DTO. We can have for now we can have let's do this. So we're gonna create CRUDs. And the way we create CRUD is we click here and we're gonna add a class. So after adding a class, we're gonna have a class called department app service, and make this public. Then let's add an interface called department app service. It is a public interface which inherits from my application service. Not really, it should inherit from async CRUD app service, which takes the DTO, which is department DTO, and that. So once we are done, we're going back to the service, then we inherit from sync CRUD app service. And this one we have T entity, which is department, then T entity DTO, which is our department DTO, then the primary key type, which is the UID, then we inherit department service. So this red line, if we say control dot, it will say generate a constructor. We double click that. So basically, yeah, we are done. I think the only thing that's missing there is the mapping. I showed you guys how to do the mapping, so yeah, you can learn the mapping in your free time. I'm gonna click on run and see how it's gonna show. So yeah, this is it. Basically, you can see that for department we have all the 5 class. They get all the create, update, and delete. Then for person we only have create person. So if we click on try it out, I'm just gonna check if it's going to work. This is for audited entity. So you see the reason why we're inheriting from audited, it brings this audited properties. So I'm just gonna remove them, and this one also. Then I will execute. So basically the response is 200, which basically means it worked. So yeah, that's it guys. Thank you.